Isaac Merrow, a reclusive painter known for nightmarish landscapes, sought silence, true, unbroken silence. Critics praised his work as eerily transcendent, but he hadn't painted in months. He found a listing for a century-old cabin nestled deep in the forests of Vermont, miles from the nearest town, and without Wi-Fi or phone service. It was perfect. On the second night, just past midnight, Isaac awoke to a sound like dry leaves brushing across stone. He sat up, heart ticking. The wind, he thought, until he heard it again. A whisper, faint, foreign. It came from the wall beside his bed. He pressed his ear to the old wood. The voices were there, layered, murmuring in no tongue he knew. The syllables didn't sound human. They curled in ways the mouth shouldn't shape. The next day, he tried to work, but every canvas resisted him. The trees outside no longer inspired. Their shapes seemed wrong now, too tall, too still. Inside, the whispers had grown bolder. They echoed from behind the fireplace, beneath the floorboards, behind the sink. Some seemed to laugh, others argued, and some simply repeated guttural phrases like mantras. At night, Isaac dreamed of black corridors lined with mouths. He awoke to find his hands bleeding from clutching his sheets too tightly. By the fifth day, he stopped sleeping altogether. The whispers never ceased, and the light in the cabin took on a sour yellow tint, no matter the weather. He began to paint again, but not what he saw, what he heard, what he felt. Coiled shapes, twisting limbs, blind eyes and sprawling mouths pressed into walls of damp stone. When he stepped back, he didn't recognize his own brushwork. Reality frayed. The cabin walls breathed. The grain of the wood pulsed with unseen veins. When he pressed his palm to the floor, it felt soft, warm, almost like skin. The whispers no longer sounded distant. They crowded behind his ears, chuckling when he screamed. The languages began to make a kind of sense. They told him things, told him what the cabin really was. It had never been built. It had grown in a place the maps had forgotten, a seed planted by something vast and ancient, its roots drinking time and memory. It wanted Isaac to stay, to paint its dreams, to shape its whispers into form. When the park rangers arrived 3 weeks later, alerted by a local hunter who saw strange lights pulsing through the trees, they found the cabin empty. But the walls were covered in murals, thousands of eyes weeping black ichor, limbs spiraling into endless spirals, and in the center, a figure hunched over an easel, faceless and bent. They never found Isaac. But when one ranger leaned in close to inspect the painting, he swore he heard something behind the wall, soft, rasping, eager to speak.